I love achievement today as much as I did then. There's no difference there.
If you can imagine 1936, and if you can imagine an 18-year-old at Wellston High School where everyone in the class is not going to college. His father does not want him to go to college. The only support he had was his mother. And he wanted to go to college. And the place to go was Missouri because of the low tuition. He joined ROTC. He was in the artillery infantry at Missouri. And he was extremely good at artillery fire. Often told me I think he was one of the, either the best or one of the top two. When he graduated from Missouri, what was interesting was Sam Walton got a job at, I believe it was J.C. Penney, and he got a job at Procter & Gamble. They were the only two paying jobs in 1940 coming out of the University of Missouri at Columbia. So he was quite proud of that.
Graduated from the University of Missouri in 1940. 35 seniors took that test for 2 days, and I won it. And I was hired by Procter & Gamble. And so I went to work for them and ended up in Jacksonville, Illinois, selling soap in 9 counties in southern Illinois. And that's where I met my wife.
Because he had second lieutenant in ROTC and all that, he was able to apply and became a C-47 pilot for World War II and had a spectacular military career. So Missouri enabled him, again, because of the ROTC, to achieve in life.
We had a lot of time in England. I played poker and blackjack, and so I ended up with quite a bit of money. So I then directed all my flight pay, and my pay was sent back home. So I lived off the winnings from my gambling. Well then, once I got into Europe, flying into Europe with, I had a lot of missions going in to pick up wounded, and particularly once we got Paris. And so I was able, they had not determined the exchange rates between the French franc and the pound, and I was able to take in a much better value pound than the French franc and change it to francs and then come back and change it back to pounds, and I get twice as much as what I had to begin with. And that's where I got a lot of the money that I had to start the business.
The business started in October 1945 in his father's shed in the backyard in Wellston on Lenox Avenue. And then they rented a warehouse space and factory space on West Pine downtown in St. Louis. They were there for from October 45 to about 1951. They had had enough business that they built a 20,000 square foot factory in Overland, Missouri, at Woodson and Page. And at that location, that was a monumental deal for them. He worked in the factory, he sold the product, he managed the business. Of course, he had his father and his brother as his equal partners. As a boy, I remember they would talk about the business all the time. What was going on, what the sales were, and all that. Dad was the one who could sell. And I think in business, it's critical. He is the ideal. He was a true entrepreneur. But he combined that entrepreneurship with and a tremendous stability. So he stayed focused every day on what he needed to achieve to make his business better. He was extremely committed and worked pretty much 7 days a week. And then he would go play. And he actually had a great deal of fun in his life. He loved to play tennis and golf, and never was particularly good at them, but gosh, did he enjoy them. And Mother was by far the better golfer. But she was always careful to let him win by a stroke or two. She kind of back off her game, I think, on Sundays. You know, he really had a balanced life, even though he was so focused on his work. So I admired him for that. And then one day they came to him and asked him to accept this honorary PhD, this doctorate of humane letters at the university. What an honor that the university bestowed upon him. Because of his love for the university, it meant so much. The fact that he attended the university, it meant so much. Missouri was always in the conversation, so it meant a lot to him. He cared about the university a great deal. And all the things that he learned at that university, he credits, you know, to his success. He said, without that education, I could not have done what I did. Throughout all of this, too, my mother, Geraldine, was a significant part of the giving and was a significant part of all of his career. I guess you could call it a closure. You know, it's the landing of the plane after a long journey that started for the two of them in 1940 when they met at a soda bar in Jacksonville, Illinois. This finish allows Mom to let Dad know their journey was great.